Hey everybody, welcome. Happy Friday. So welcome to batch 3. This is your first lesson and start to your careerist course. Also, some of you are not part of batch 3, but you're just sitting in for an introduction, just seeing if you want to take the course. Happy Friday. I'm so glad it's Friday. I'm looking forward to the weekend. So unfortunately, I can't hear or see you, but if you have any questions or want to make any comments or say hello, go ahead and use the chat. Um, and we're going to get started. We have a fun, interesting first lesson. All right. So again, welcome. It is your first day at Careerist. Uh-oh, can you not hear me? Can you hear me? You can. Okay. Maybe it's because I paused. Hi. All right, cool. Yeah, I paused. I have to breathe. Breathing gets in the way. Okay, cool. So I am your instructor for today. I know being human always gets in the way of things. I am your instructor for today and also part of your instructor for batch 3. My name is Samara. So I am a senior UX UI product designer. I work at Genient, also formerly known as 17 Seconds. So I've been a designer for 15 years now, and I have about, I would say, 10 to 15 years of experience. I've worked all over the place, agency side, client side. So I worked formerly at MailChimp, PlayStation, Apple, a bunch of different in-house studios, a bunch of different agencies. I worked at Huge, Fjord, and also Critical Mass. So I've kind of been all over the place. My journey started, I'm actually an artist. So I went to art school. I wanted to finger paint and basically illustrate all day. And then I jumped into web design and found out that I naturally was really good with information architecture, accessibility, and usability, which you will be learning later on in this course. So part of my journey was basically kind of getting into UX design before it was even a thing. So I've been kind of around basically since the first iPhone came out. That's kind of when I would say my major breakthrough was as a designer. So a lot has changed. You guys actually have a pretty easy, I would say, but we're going to get into our next slides. And yes, this should be recorded and will be shared out. All right, so I also have my additional support team. So Mo will be your support specialist for this batch. Mo is awesome. He helps us stay on track with training. Any questions, he's also available on Slack. Really great with keeping reminders, letting us know about syllables when things are due, things like that. And then also part of the support team is Christina. She is our learning experience manager. She helps us plan and guide our learning journey so that you guys can actually achieve your goals very fast. They are on here with us today, so feel free to say hey in the chat. Awesome. All right, so our agenda for today, we're going to get into it. We are going to talk about Careerist, so the background of Careerist, how it kind of came to be, what our focus is, what our mission is. We're also going to talk about UX UI design overall, and the product of being a UX UI designer, which is creating case studies, really the work of deliverables. And then we're going to look at the entire UX UI design course. So we're going to have a program overview. We're also going to break down the different instructors and experts that you will be working with or meeting with. And then at the very end, we have a pretty fun FigJam activity that we're going to use to kind of get an intro into problem solving. All right, so Careerist is your career partner. That's basically the big differentiator between Careerist and the other boot camps. Careerist really does partner to help you find a job and to really start your career. It's the leading career training platform pioneered by industry experts to maximize student hiring opportunities. So it's supported by over 300 staff, and our graduates from the entire Careerist umbrella have landed very high paying jobs in record times all over the US. So, what we offer is we have interactive lessons twice a week. There is internship. There's also one on one mentorship. We have interview preparation. We work with resumes and LinkedIn. We also help you with your job support. There's like a couple of months of that, which is pretty amazing, as well as there's a job application service. So our mission is really to help you access high demand, high paying careers in tech. So our graduates from all over our company, they work for a bunch of different innovative companies, as you can see here. So over 1,000 tech companies in over 40 states have already hired career grads. So as you can see, a lot of our graduates work at Uber, Apple, Google, Dell, Walt Disney, just to name a few. So our graduates work in the most innovative tech companies in the country, broken up into different industries. So our graduates work at different industry verticals of finance, sports, media, travel, sport, and telecom. So a very wide range of different industries you can get into, and working with different companies with finance, such as Bank of America, JP Morgan, E-Trade, sports Peloton, with media, there's Disney and Roku, and then travel and transport, there's Boeing and Tesla, and then with telecom, there's Comcast, T-Mobile, and AT&T. So our success map right here shows over 1,000 companies have already hired our careerist graduates, and about 57% of them work remotely. So as you can see, we have graduates working all across the US remotely. All right, so before we get into more details on what UX UI design is about, I actually have a question for you. So, what do you know about UX UI designers and what do they do? So, you can actually type your answers in the chat and we'll have a quick discussion. What do UX UI designers do? Yeah, sometimes I have no clue either. User experience? What do you mean user experience? What about user experience? Okay, there we go, David. So create the look and feel of UI and apps. That is definitely one aspect of the job. Yes, designing apps for people, that's another aspect. I would say another question I have for you is what do you think is kind of interesting about being a UX UI designer? Oh, here we go, keeping in mind user needs. Yep. So design with user journey and usability in mind. There we go, Flora. Awesome. So Natalia, UX designers make products better and usable for people of all sorts. Yes. Veronica, designed to improve user experience based on data. Yes. Big key. Data is a big thing that drives our design decisions. Rachel, they design human-centered products and services. Yes. User experience designers research what the users of a product experience is so that they can create solutions to better the product. Yep, that's essentially it. So UX and UI design really is not only creating human-centered products using human-centered design approach, but also to bridge that gap between users and the business side. We're really the advocate for users with technology. We're the ones that have the empathy and understand what our users' problems are and how to solve that in very unique, different ways, and basically create deliverables that help us to communicate how to solve those problems on the business side and on the technological side. Yep, Benji, enhance solutions to everyday problems. Awesome. So again, what is a UX UI designer? A UX UI designer is a person who creates product interfaces based on functionality, usability, accessibility, also business needs, business requirements, and they work on a variety of different actual products. So it could be mobile apps, websites, services. There's also kind of a new trend going on where designers can also be spatial designers, so architecture. That's kind of a big thing too as well. So some similar job titles to being a designer that you will see very frequently in the industry is user experience designer, UI designer, product designer, and interaction designer. So what does a UX UI designer actually do? So the main objective of UX UI design is to understand the needs and motivations of users and design products that solve their problems and meet their expectations. UX and UI designers bridge the gap between user needs and business needs. So very often or not, the UX UI designer is facilitating that process and balancing business stakeholder requirements along with trying to push and make sure that we create the best experience for users and to meet those business needs. UX UI designers are responsible for researching user needs, creating and designing screens, and conducting usability tests to ensure that users can easily navigate the interface and actually have a really good experience using any product that they're building. So this is always what everybody wants to see and learn and know about. So how much can I earn as a UX UI designer? So I will say it is a very stable market for the most part. You can make a good amount of money being a UX UI designer. So entry level, you can make 65 to 105 a year. And then with experience, just as a base, it's 75 to 125K a year. That's kind of the most likely range. So UX UI design was ranked the sixth highest paying entry level job in a recent Glassdoor study. So the demand for UX UI designers is very high and salaries are very competitive. Also, UX UI designers not only work in technology, but they can also work in many different industries, such as banking, healthcare is a very big one coming up, different social media apps, logistics, also sales is a very, very big industry for UX UI design, e-commerce, gaming, marketing, online dating. Honestly, it kind of varies, but every industry really rely on design and UX and UI designers. So, what are the career growths as a designer? So, UX designers actually grow both vertically and horizontally. Horizontal growth happens when you grow as a designer and you're able to take on more complex, ambitious projects, and you can earn a higher income by doing so. The more experience you gain, the more projects you get to work on, and also the more exciting projects you'll be trusted to take on when you have more experience. So, for example, if you can improve the user experience of an online grocery store, you can also create complex interfaces to help people find meaningful relationships through a dating app. There are countless opportunities for experienced designers. So I do also want to talk about the vertical growth. So there is a very specific growth as a designer. So you're going to be starting off as a junior designer, which is also an entry-level designer. Then from there, you're going to move to just being a designer, mid-level designer, and then you move on to being a senior designer, a lead, and then up higher up, you'll be a staff or a principal designer. And then from there, that's when you start getting into management and also leading up to being a director and or so forth. So that's the vertical track to being a designer and actually progressing as you move through your career. All right, so a very big important thing to being a designer and actually the output of our course and what we're going to be learning and helping you through is to build a case study. So a case study essentially is how UX UI designers describe the way that they moved from a problem to a solution. It is a very detailed structure of a specific project they have completed. It shows their design process, skills, and the impact of their work on the end users and the business. So case studies are often used in portfolios to demonstrate a designer's expertise and ability to solve real world problems through design. So our course with Careerist, we are going to be taking you through each lesson, the specific pieces on how to actually build a full case study. So each lesson kind of goes off of the other, and towards the end of this learning part of the course, you will actually build out your first case study that you can put in your portfolio. So some examples of case studies and or examples of problems and solutions by designers, and what we'll be learning is with WhatsApp, the problem is there was a message deleting option in WhatsApp where instead of clicking on delete for everyone, you clicked on delete for me. So what will you do now? You can't get that message back. So a potential solution is add a pop-up confirmation after selecting the delete for me option. Having a confirmation message before the change is a great way to actually avoid mistakes. Another example of a problem to be solved within LinkedIn is LinkedIn is the most effective way for a recruiter to catch a candidate's attention, is to understand their career and personal motivations, but current tools make it very difficult to uncover this information. So a potential solution is periodically ask candidates about their motivations, store that information within their LinkedIn profile, and allow recruiters to use this data to identify candidates. And then our last example of SoundCloud and actually having a problem. So users wanted to browse and discover new podcasting content, share custom audio clips, and add and view comments for podcast episodes. So a potential solution to this is they redesigned SoundCloud app, which was received very positively by both the client and users. And users stated the app was not only simple and clean, but helped them feel more confident when finding new content. So these are just examples of different problems that different apps have and how design has actually solved those problems successfully. All right, so the case study structure that we are going to be using at Careerist and what we're going to be working towards is a very typical case study format, which includes having a project overview. So this always starts with a problem statement. We first start with research and discovery, then we move into user flows ideation, and then we move into UI, so visual design. We actually show the screens and the pages. And then from there, we go into results and any impact or insights that we learned from the whole process of working with specific designs in our case study. So an example of a case study is what we're going to go through. So this is essentially what you're going to be working on throughout the first part of the course and learning specifically how to build a very solid case study and how to go through all of the different kind of stages of creating an actual product. So basically imagine you're a designer. So an example of this case study is a problem for LinkedIn. So recruiters face challenges engaging passive candidates due to limited insights into their motivations. So a potential goal is to help recruiters become more aware of the motivation of passive candidates in order to improve their ability to effectively hunt for talent. So a potential solution is to develop a LinkedIn feature that periodically asks users to share their motivation, store their information in their profiles, and enables recruiters to access this data for better engagement. So the step one of actually solving this problem, in order to build this feature, we need to gather insights about it. So what are the current challenges that recruiters face when trying to engage passive candidates? What are the key motivation, goals, and aspirations of passive candidates? What's the most effective and user-friendly way for passive candidates to share their motivations? So part of user research is what it says here. You actually interview users. So in this case study, we interviewed 7 passive candidates, 3 active candidates, and 3 recruiters and 1 hiring manager. So within the research articles and materials about the motivation of employees and how people make decisions between several offers, what they rely on in their decision. So a key insight uncovered was that the candidate's dreams and motivations are the most powerful pieces of information a recruiter can use to engage a passive candidate. However, LinkedIn today does not actually help identify those insights. So After research, part of that is actually affinity mapping and understanding your findings from that research. So part of that is summarizing and analyzing the interview findings to all the common patterns and themes and insights related to candidates' motivations and desires. This will help in understanding the various factors that drive passive candidates and how they can effectively be addressed. So the most popular factors from the findings that we found is higher compensation, growth opportunity, work-life balance is key, and also having a remote job. So from all those findings, the next step after research is actually creating a user flow. So this is moving into more of UX specific deliverables. So we created a user flow of the feature that enabled users to share their career goals and motivations within LinkedIn, which then helps recruiters to identify and present opportunities that align the user's aspirations. So what's important about the user flow is that it actually maps out the actual step and flow of this specific feature. And obviously we'll be learning that in the course. So step 4 is creating a paper prototype. And so to create a paper prototype, we actually use sketches before actually going into more detailed designs. So we sketch the interfaces of each screen we want to add using pen and paper to help quickly ideate and iterate. We sketch them on the sticky notes and allow them to immediately be used as paper prototypes and to test out for different functionality. And then another part of creating a prototype is actually creating a high fidelity prototype. So adding more details. So using LinkedIn's design system, their style guide, their visual language. So actually their colors, their buttons, their styles to actually translate from the sketches into the prototype into a final visual experience for both mobile and web. And then after that, there is another portion of more testing that comes in the form of usability testing. So in this stage in the UX design process, the screens that are actually mocked up can be tested by users and implemented in the app, which is known as user testing or usability testing. This stage is critical to ensure that the design screens are effective, user-friendly, and meet the needs of the target audience. All right, so I'll actually go back a slide. So that's kind of an overview of what a case study is and what it will look like and basically what you're going to be working towards in this course. All right, so now I have another discussion for all of us. So do you know of any mobile or web applications that have issues or inconveniences in terms of just their user experience, anything that has like a poor user experience? Feel free to type this answer in the chat and share some examples and we'll talk through that. Yes, there's a lot. Oh, there we go. Macy's. Yeah. I've been waiting for Macy's to redo their app. Craigslist? Of course. I don't know though. I feel like if Craigslist actually had a redesign, I don't know if people would still use it in the same way. I think that's like the magic of Craigslist is that it's so bad. All right, website Easy Pass is very hard to understand. Oh, I bet it is confusing to navigate and find login back home when you're lost. Apple Music, really? I'm so sad. So sad to hear that. Oh my gosh, that like breaks my heart. Oh no. I'll have to I'll have to let my friends know. Yes, the government. The government sites need a lot of love. I think another reason why government sites are not the greatest is because they're running on very large systems that have been a bit outdated. So actually transferring it to something modern would actually be very expensive. So I think that's another reason why. All right. right, so MBTA app, TripAdvisor, yeah. Spotify is much more user-friendly, I do agree. It's very simple, but then very nice. Zara, oh, yeah. All right, well, this was a fun discussion. You're actually going to notice that as a designer, once you start learning about different topics and different things throughout the course, you're going to start noticing the design of everything around you. And that's actually what makes you a good designer, is by pulling those physical references and also playing around with different apps and different experiences, and basically building your design library. Yeah, a lot of sites with their mobile or web friendly. Yep, a lot of sites are not responsive. Yeah, Amazon is a topic. That's a website that is very, yeah, Amazon comes up a lot. I kind of forgot the word that I was trying to say. But yes, you can never find what you need, especially the chat for customer service being a forever user. Yes. I'm always surprised when I actually can get to someone from customer service and I'm talking to them on the phone. It's just like a miracle. It's like I feel like a miracle happened. Like the design gods were just like, okay, you need to talk to somebody from Amazon. Here you go. And I'm like, oh my gosh, a real person. And they're always super cool. All right, so we'll carry on because we could talk about this probably for the entire class. All right, so now we're going to get into, oh, okay. I think I might have pressed something. All right, so now we're going to get into the details about our program. Okay, so our program and the entirety, this is the training plan. So we have 16 weeks of learning. This is what we're in right now. We are going to be going through materials, practice during lessons. We're going to be getting support from our instructors. There's Q&A sessions. We're going to be working through problem solving, research, UX, then to UI, and then preparing your case study. So the final outcome for this learning portion is your first case study for your first project. And then after that, you're going to have 5 weeks for internship. So this is a real practice experience working as part of a design team, and you are partnering and working with an actual client. And then you're going to have a second case study that you're going to build. So you're actually going to have 2 case studies for your portfolio. And then after that, there is 7 weeks of mentorship. So this is where we help you search for jobs, prepare for that through one-on-one mentoring. There is going to be portfolio and self-presentation. You're going to learn how to prep for interviews. You're going to learn how to write your resume, create your LinkedIn profile, and come up with a job search strategy. And then after that, there is 2 to 6 months of active job search. So applying for jobs, getting constant mentorship until you actually get an offer, working someplace. And this is actually pretty awesome. So preparation for upcoming interviews, help with negotiation for your salary, any references, and actually landing a job offer. So again, for our training plan, for the learning portion, the first part of what we're going through. So batch 3, you are going to be meeting every Tuesday and Friday to have lessons. This starts at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's usually 1.5 hours to 2 hours. And then on Saturday, this is an optional co-working day at 2 p.m., and that's from 1 to 2.5 hours. And you can also watch the recordings of our live lessons. All of our lessons are recorded and shared, I believe, in Slack. So again, you have co-working days every Saturday. Every week you have a homework assignment, and then there's also quizzes. And you also get feedback from your homework assignments as well. And then during internship, you have a flexible weekly schedule. So you have 2 meetings with your lead instructor, which is about 2 hours each. You'll be meeting with your team for 2 hours, and then you'll have about 6 hours of individual work that you need to contribute towards your team and towards building out your case study. And then after that, for your 7 weeks of mentorship, you have one-on-one sessions with your mentors once a week. So 7 of them are mandatory meetings with your mentor that are an hour long. And then you also have supporting meetings in between that. And then for the last part of your 2 to 6 months of actively looking and searching for a job, you have bi-weekly mentor calls to track your progress for about 15 to 30 minutes. So you have a lot of support, and it's really awesome because I haven't really seen that in a lot of other boot camps. That's what makes Careerist really, really special. I would say the internship is what makes Careerist very, very special. Also, the mentorships, because we have amazing experts and mentors. And then the last part, which is amazing, is 2 to 6 months of helping you find a job. All right, so we're going to quickly talk about your homework assignments. So you're going to have one homework assignment per week, or depending on the homework assignment, you might have 2 weeks to complete it if it's a lot to do. All of your homework tasks will be based on your case study. So each week you have a lesson and then you have homework. And that homework helps you to build upon the different lessons to essentially build out your case study. So all of the learning lessons is broken up into like 2 lessons per week, and then you have homework, and then it's basically chronologically building out your case study through the 16 weeks. So there's 2 types of homework assignments that you'll see in your slides. One is mandatory homework, which you see down here what it will look like. You basically need to upload your work, submit your link for review, and your instructors actually review your homework and give you one-on-one feedback. And then another option that you'll see here on the right is that there are some optional practices that you can do. So these tasks, you don't actually need to upload your work and you don't really need to get feedback on it, but it is still helpful to do. All right, so co-working days, again, this is on every Saturday. So the main goals of co-working days are to allow you to receive extra help from an experienced designer on the educational process and homework, to get more practice on the spot, more one-on-one. Also, sometimes you just need motivation and encouragement because let's just be honest, being a designer and learning design, especially UX design, UI design can be very difficult. It can be kind of a lot and overwhelming. So definitely rely on your instructors, your co-working days, your mentors to kind of help you process everything and get through the course really well. So this is a roadmap of all of the lessons in the learning portion, the first portion of the course. So for 16 weeks, you're going to have 29 lessons. So the first one is what we're having right now. This is our introduction lesson. Lesson 2, which you'll be having next week, we're going to start off with the state of UX and problem statements. So this is the start of your case study, and basically want to kind of highlight all of these lessons in particular to show how they do build off of the other. So then your lesson 3 is structuring feedback and running a competitive analysis. From there, lesson 4 is research methods and conducting your user interviews. And then as you're conducting your user interviews, you're going to be learning just high level visual design, UI design. So introduction to UI and Figma basics, typography and colors, iconography and grid. Lesson 8, you're going to go back to synthesizing your research and your hypotheses. So creating your hypotheses from your research that you conducted. And then lesson 9, you're getting into what is a product brief, and you're learning about different UX exercises. Lesson 10, you're learning about user scenarios and jobs to be done statements. That is a specific UX exercise. Lesson 11, you're learning about feature prioritization, so picking a specific feature that you're going to be moving towards building out. And then the building and the fun part kind of, well, it's all fun, but I'm a little bit biased because I'm a crafter and a doer. So this is when I get super excited, is around creating user flows. Again, low fidelity sketching and prototypes, doing usability testing, user testing with your paper prototypes. Then we get into your Figma deep dive. So we go another layer deep into how to use Figma, which again, here for lesson 16, getting into auto layout, UI kits, um, basically building out wireframes. And then lesson 17 is a mid-fidelity prototyping workshop. Lesson 18 is UI, so inspiration versus duplication sets and components. Lesson 19, we get into design systems, components, and atomic design. Lesson 20, we get into actual mock-ups, high fidelity designs. Lesson 21 and 22 is a practice in Figma because there is a lot to learn with Figma. And actually to get better with Figma, you just need to practice as much as possible. And then lesson 23, we're going to be going over key visual elements in Figma. So learning how to create a clickable prototype. Lesson 24, we're going to be learning about responsive design. Lesson 25, we're going to be learning about iOS, Android system guidelines and material design. And then finally, lesson 26 is when we're going to be making a case study. So everything that you have done in all these previous lessons, that's all going to be in your case study. And then lesson 27, we're going to be making a portfolio presentation. So we are creating an outline for your case study, and then we're taking that outline from your case study and we're putting it into a Figma portfolio presentation so you can use that when you're interviewing and looking for work. And then lesson 28 is design for behaviors and emotions. And then lesson 29 is your final lesson. So there's a lot of amazing things you're going to be learning in these 16 weeks of learning for this first part of the course. I said a lot. All right, so here we have the specific tags and the different kind of tracks within design that you're going to be learning. So you're going to be learning about research, you're going to be learning about UI, UX, and then down here, you're going to be learning about specific job related lessons. And then here we have an overlay. So for lesson 2, you have a homework. Lesson 4 is homework, which is you're conducting your user interviews. That's going to be about 2 weeks. And then your next homework is actually synthesizing your research, affinity mapping, coming up with your hypothesis. So that is your homework, and you also have a quiz. And then your next homework is creating your user scenarios, jobs to be done statements. And then your lesson 12 homework, you're going to be creating user flows. And then your lesson 14 homework is you're actually creating paper prototypes and running your own usability testing. And then you're actually refining your sketches and your flows based off of the testing that you've conducted. And then lesson 16 homework is playing around with auto layout, UI kits, and creating wireframes. Lesson 18 is actually creating high fidelity mockups. So again, using high fidelity UI kits to create sets and components in Figma. And then your lesson 20 is again creating high visual mockups. And then for 22, it's just going to be homework in how to practice with Figma, basically refining your homework from before. Lesson 23 is creating your prototypes. And then lesson 24 is actually building out mobile, tablet, and desktop screens for your project or product that you're working on. And then your next homework is actually creating a case study and also creating a portfolio presentation. And then you do have a homework assignment for design for behavior and emotions and your final quiz. So you basically have you have 14 homework assignments throughout the 16 weeks. And they do all build off of each other. So in order to actually get to the next homework, you do have to finish the one before in order to use your work from the previous homework in the next homework assignment. So they do all build off of each other. All right, so internship is 5 weeks. So after learning, we go into internship. So this portion is about internship. So internship is 5 weeks. We get a task from a real company, and we start by reviewing the task, asking clarifying questions, and clearly identifying the design challenges that the company is needing for your team to solve. What's awesome about internship is that you're getting actual art direction and support from a lead instructor. So during your internship, you'll be guided by a UX designer as your lead designer. They'll offer you feedback on your design solutions and help you move towards your goal. And then you're going to be working through the stages of creating an actual prototype. So you're going to be doing research, you're going to be clarifying the problem, searching for the solution, choosing a hypothesis, building a user flow. You're going to be creating prototypes, so sketches, wireframes, and mockups. You're going to be testing that prototypes, and then you're going to be optimizing the prototypes based off of user testing, and then you're going to present your prototype to the actual client. So then after internship, you have mentorship. Again, it's one-on-one support with a mentor, ensuring that you will never get stuck during your job preparation or job search. So your mentor will help you with your resume and LinkedIn, your portfolio, all parts of designer interview, including presentation, app critique, problem-solving exercises, behavioral questions, and mock interview practice. This is pretty crucial. Your mentor will get you ready for your search for UX jobs and will support you during your job search process. So, the outcomes of the course that's important to keep in mind is when you graduate, you can expect to be fluent in design, um, thinking and mastering the entire UX design process. You will be capable of conducting the research stage, so interviews, competitive analysis, empathy maps, jobs to be done, statements, user flows, and personas, and forming hypothesis. And then you will be able to create a prototype, wireframes, test them, and finally present them to a client. So, again, your portfolio will have 2 case studies by the end of this course. The new skills that you will have learned through the course is you will have learned how to create mid and high fidelity prototypes. You will learn how to transfer high fidelity prototypes from desktop into mobile, so basically creating responsive designs. You will learn how to actually find UI kits, how to use them efficiently and quickly. You'll be able to choose between different visual languages and learn how to kind of create your own visual language. You'll learn how to create web pages and add content based on rules relating to grids and typography. You'll be able to describe in case detail, highlight skills and learnings on your personal website. You'll prepare a presentation about a case study within a specific time limit. You'll also understand the product development lifecycle. You'll learn how to define a problem statement, how to prioritize solutions based on the rules and stakeholder criteria. You'll also be able to prepare and conduct user interviews. You'll be able to conduct competitive audits, write a usability survey, build a hypothesis, and write a product brief. You'll also be able to test hypothesis by prototype with users. All right, so what's really important for the program details is we do our part and you do your part. So this is a give and take relationship, 50-50 rule. So you'll be getting constructive feedback. This is a very supportive environment. So definitely be active, ask a lot of questions if you don't understand. If during a lesson you don't know what questions to ask, definitely watch the recordings and come back to next class with questions that you may have so your instructors can help you out. Also, all the lessons are in Zoom. So for your lesson 2 moving forward, we will be in Zoom. So I will be able to hear you and potentially see you, but we'll see about that. And then there's going to be a lot of communication in Slack. So Mo is going to be in Slack with you. But also, I do give you my email address. So if you need help in between lessons, I'm around, or whichever instructor is around. This is a very immersive training, so you do need to engage, you do need to do all of your homework, you do need to do your part. It's about 10 to 12 hours a week of work, and you do need to do the independent work so that you can actually give feedback. And then again, Saturday, you do have the Q&A sessions if you have any questions or need help. All right, so batch three, you are super lucky. Not to brag about myself because I usually don't like doing that, but the other two instructors that you have for this batch, I mean, they're amazing. So this is an all-star design team. So Jonathan is gonna, I believe, be your co-working instructor on Saturdays. He is a senior UX designer and design researcher for Lowe's, and he has 24 years of experience in creative services, which is amazing. So you're going to be getting help from him every week. And then May is going to be co-instructing with me for batch three. So May is a multidisciplinary designer with a current focus in UI, UX product design and creative direction with 6+ years of experience. And she's amazing. You're going to really enjoy learning from her. So we are your design instructors for the learning portion of this first part of the course. And then moving on to just the program overall and our team overall, these are our design experts that have helped us create this program, who you will also potentially be meeting during mentorship. So we have Kameta. She is a design researcher at Microsoft, and she's an experienced UX design instructor as well. So she does also instruct other batches. We have Senia. She is a product designer at Meta and Facebook, and she is our key UX training expert at Careerist. She helped develop a lot of the materials of the course itself. And she's experienced in graphic and UI design. We have Aaron. He is a senior UX designer at Walmart, Amazon, and has over 20 years of experience designing solutions. So anybody, your gripes on Amazon, if you end up meeting with Aaron, probably shouldn't say that, but he's around. And then we have Cesar. He's an interaction designer at Google after years of working at startups. And then we have Kate. She is a product design team lead in fintech, design experience with voice, mobile, and web and interfaces, and she's a Red Dot winner. So we have a bunch of amazing experts to help you through your course. So again, I think it's really important to understand why study with Careerist and also what differentiates us from the other boot camps that are out there. So you're getting training from actual training industry experts. So a lot of us, we do have over 10 years of experience working in the field as UX, UI, product interaction designers, working for either big tech or other different companies and different industries. The lessons are online, so it's twice a week. If you can't meet them or you can't join, it's fine. They are recorded. They will be shared out, so you can watch them later on. There's an internship and building out your case study. That part, I don't see in a lot of different courses, so that's pretty cool. Also, the mentorship and help with interview preparation, assistance finding you a job and helping you with resume and LinkedIn, like that's pretty crucial. So that's why we say study with us, and you're here, which is awesome. And then for those of you who haven't joined yet, maybe hopefully I've changed your mind because I'd like for you selfishly to join because I want to instruct you for the next 16 weeks. All right, so our careerist guarantee, I did see somebody ask about that. So we do have a guarantee. So because Careerist is fully committed to your success, we offer a 100% money back guarantee if you don't land a job in tech within 1 year of graduation. So in order to get that 100% money back guarantee, there are refund eligibility requirements, which include basically completing all of your training module assignments on time, submitting all of your projects and assignments by their deadlines, following your job search instructions. So the full details are available at careerist.com, but we do have a 100% money back guarantee, and we do have a guarantee on this bootcamp. All right, so our tuition upfront right now, for those of you who are our webinar participants, it is $32.50. So this is the admission fee if you want to join in on the UX UI design course today. I hope you do. If you have any questions, please feel free to email advisors@careerist.com. I believe there's also a button. So I just put up a button if you want to claim the offer. Let me know if that's working. Hopefully it is. But if you want to join in on the course, I hope you do, because it would be so awesome and a lot of fun. And you get to hang out with me and May and Jonathan, and it's great. Not to brag, but I'm bragging. All right, so gonna go on to the next. Yep, please reserve your seat. All right, so I said a lot. I'm gonna breathe. Does anybody have any questions before we start? I know Natalia has a question. If you have any questions on UX UI design course, maybe any of the lessons, I can help answer those questions. If you're kind of not sure, you need some convincing, or maybe it's Friday and we just don't have any questions because it's the end of the week. That happens too. Great question. So how much of UI knowledge will be there? So in the course, we have the basics of UI and a good foundation for UI. So you will actually know how to be a UI designer, like an entry UI designer. We do go over, which is really important, UI kits, design systems, designing responsively, also designing for specific standards such as Apple and Android. So there's a lot of knowledge and also a lot of practice that's available. Natalia, will Figma be enough for job search? Yes. So Figma is the industry standard software tool that the designers are using right now. And if you learn Figma very well, you can also actually apply it to any of the other design software, but it's not used at this point. So you're pretty good to go. And I will say the way that Figma is created in terms of the tool, it is very similar to Adobe products, Sketch. Um, they're all very, very similar. Question. So when you mentioned creating a portfolio, is it a website with 2 case studies in it? Yeah, so actually the portfolio is going to be a portfolio presentation in Figma. And we actually do give you like templates and a base on how to create that portfolio, and then you create it with the 2 case studies. Yeah. We create one case study first, and then during internship, you create another case study. So then you'll have 2 case studies for your portfolio. And then you'll use that Figma presentation to interview. I will also let you know my portfolio is a Figma presentation, and usually the first part of interviewing, I show that presentation, and then towards the other end or later part of interviewing, I actually show my Figma files. Like that's actually how I personally interview. So you're pretty good to go there. Oh, so Natalia, so Sketch is being pushed away from the industry, or it depends on the company? Yeah, so Sketch is now outdated because Figma replaced Sketch. So also, what platform will we use to create a portfolio? So you will be using Figma to create a presentation. That's pretty much what happens as a designer. The latest software usually replaces the software that everybody's been using. So Sketch replaced Adobe, all Adobe products. And now Figma is replacing Sketch. All right, so the tech industry, specifically UI UX, seems to be saturated. Yes and no. I'll say no. Ease difficulty landing a job, especially with looking all for experience. So um, I will say it's not necessarily saturated because there's so many companies that need UI UX designers. You just have to know how to apply for jobs and how to look for jobs, and also how to specialize yourself as a UI UX designer, because there are different tracks that you can specialize in that kind of make you unique. So that's kind of where the saturation is not particularly true, because every designer is very unique in their abilities, and also different companies are very unique in what they're looking for. Natalia, so nobody uses balsamic anymore. I know, I'm sad because I used to use it back in the day. So I mean, it's nice, but nobody uses it. That's a good question, though. I mean, you can use it on the side for fun. Rachel, will we be interning for the same company? Will we have to look for the internship? So we're going to be providing the internship for you, and we're going to be providing external company. So it's a company that we have a partnership with, that we're going to be solving their actual problem during internship. So you don't have to look for anything during the internship. We're providing everything to you. You just have specific tasks and assignment that you have to work through within the 5 weeks. Yeah, okay. Alejandro, will you guys at some point share with us portfolios that led you to land a job? Yes, we definitely go through that. And it's very fun. So we will review successful portfolios, what makes a portfolio successful, um, and what a portfolio needs to have so you can land a job. So we definitely go through all of that in a lot of detail. All right, so Lauren, can you speak on the tech layoffs? What additional skills should we focus on to really ensure standing out to hiring managers? Yeah, so the tech layoffs, basically what happened is during the pandemic, well, the last 3 years, essentially, it's companies hired too many designers, thinking that things were going to be a certain way. And then now that the pandemic is over and the market has changed and we're in a recession and there's inflation, that's why these tech layoffs are happening, because companies really didn't really do a good job in terms of like forecasting um, what was going on. Also, a lot of companies were hiring to like hoard talent. So a lot of companies wanted to like take up all the talent so other companies couldn't have talents. So that's why you're seeing a lot of layoffs, because honestly, these companies just didn't really plan very well, and expected certain things to be a certain way, and it's not. But I will say, I understand that tech layoffs make you feel uncomfortable, but honestly, I wouldn't worry about that. Like, don't really focus on that. What kind of will help you to land a job is to just honestly, and we talk about this during the case study, but it's about how to talk, basically how to tell your own story and your own approach as a designer. That's what's going to help you really stand out to your hiring managers. So being yourself, showing your skills and your strengths, really kind of being unique, showing your personality, showing your passions, also finding out what makes you really comfortable in design. Like, are you more of a researcher? Do you like more UI? Do you like more UX? Do you want to build actual products? So as we go through the course, really think about where do you kind of want to land, or where do you want to kind of put your focus, and then you can actually curate your portfolio to match that industry. And working with your mentors will actually help you break through and get a job. And I will quickly say this on the side. I was worried about the tech layoffs too, but actually, I've been able to find work all throughout this year. So I've just been having different jobs and different contracts, but I'm able to find opportunities. And I will say it can be a bit overwhelming to see like a lot of people applying, but as long as you get in there pretty quickly, you should be fine. So just don't even look at it. Don't worry about it. Just keep moving. Just be determined, and you'll get a job. All right, I said a lot to Lauren. I just felt like I needed to talk about the elephant in the room, but it's okay. The elephant is our friend. All right, so Benji, how do you feel AI will affect UI, UX, positives and negatives, please. Yes. So AI is a very, very big topic. So what I see AI, it's going to be really helpful in helping us get our tasks done very, very quickly. So I kind of see it more as um, basically making our workflow more efficient, but AI cannot do the job of a UI UX designer. So AI will never be able to replace that. Basically, like when it comes to research, problem statements, also ideation sketches, coming up with different features, AI is not going to be able to do that. You still need the human component with UI and UX. So I would say the positives is it's going to make our workload more efficient. Negatives, it might make us lazy. Honestly, um, I think I'm just going to call it out with ChatGPT. I'm a little concerned because now I'm afraid we're not going to know how to write. Like we're going to be relying on AI and ChatGPT to write our actual briefs and like write out because UX does have a lot of writing. So that part makes me a little worried. Whereas before ChatGPT, I took creative writing courses, like I actually had to learn how to write myself. So I do feel like AI might make us a little bit lazy. And that part I'm personally worried about, but that's kind of what I see for the positives and the negatives. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, Rashida, we are not going to be using Adobe for anything. All right, Alejandro, I understand you talked about UI kit usage. Does this also apply to Google's newer material? Yes, so there is a lesson on Google's material design, and also we go over iOS Apple design standards. And it's always the latest design guidelines because that's what you use. All right, another question. How about Photoshop knowledge? Will designers need it? Also, same agile and any coding. So for this design course in particular, we're not going to be going over any agile or any coding. As a designer, it's good to know, but you don't need to know it to get a job. And then if you do have Photoshop experience, that's awesome because it will apply to Figma. If you know how to use Photoshop, then you'll be a master at using Figma. All right, these were awesome questions. Not sure if anybody has any more. So why Figma instead of Adobe UX? Is it better? Um, so the reason why Figma blew up is because there's a lot of automation, which Adobe does not have. So Figma, everything's automated with auto layout. There's a lot of different plugins. There's a lot of free resources, materials for Figma. There were a lot of updates. So that's why Figma basically took over as lead instead of Sketch and Adobe, because Adobe and Sketch cannot do what Figma does. Also, Figma does provide actual code in the software itself. So that's basically why Figma. Figma's free, but with a free Figma account, you can only have one file, and then within the file, I'm sorry, one project, sorry, one team, one project, and then within the project, the file, you can only have like one page. But if you want to open it up a little bit more as an individual contributor, it is $15 a month, if I am remembering correctly. I think it's 13 to 15. They also do educational discounts, so I would look into that. Okay, Alejandro, maybe you mentioned this already, but on average, how long does it take for someone to land a job in UX after completing the program? Also, are there many remote possibilities from your experience? Um, Yes, so I'm not sure how long it will take for all of you to land a job specifically, but I will say there are a lot of remote possibilities. Also, there's a lot of remote and hybrid possibilities, or there's also on-site possibilities. So whatever you want, there's a good There's a lot of great jobs still out there. I don't think remote's going away. I think that's the positive side of the pandemic. There's a lot of remote work, which is awesome. I love it. I get to work from home. I'm with my family now. I can do both. You know, that was kind of the downside, I will say, about my generation, being a designer for the 15 years I worked in an office. I basically grew up in an office, especially for college. So I would say I lived in an office for like 20 years. I never saw my family, and I do regret that. So now I'm really happy that I work from home because now I get to see them every day, and I don't feel bad that I'm sacrificing, my personal life with my work life. It's a really great balance. So, and now there's a ton of remote possibilities, also globally all over the world. You can also work for different countries if you want to, meet different people. You can also travel. You can be nomadic, and work from different countries, work from different places. It's actually pretty cool. I definitely recommend that. All right, if we don't have any more questions, these were good questions. It's a tough crowd. You guys are asking like some tough questions. I feel like you're asking questions to like break me down, but can't. You're trying to find the holes. We can still do questions. We can have like a wisdom session. I know you're trying to find the holes, but what I will say, if you do your work and you're really passionate about design and you're resilient and determined, that's all you need. You just keep going. Just keep going. If you hit a failure or a setback, it's okay, or like rejection. I get rejected all the time. What happens? I cry and I eat some chocolate ice cream and I watch a movie, and then the next day I'm fine and I just start applying to other jobs. It's real. You just keep going. It's okay. Being a designer is part of, it's long haul. So this isn't like a 1, 2 year job. This is like a 10, 20, 30, like this is like for the rest of your life. So if you're in it for the long term and you keep going every day, it will work out. It'll be fine. All right, awesome questions. I'll get to this. So, Rachel, would you say most UX roles are contract as opposed to full time? No, so it's a mix, Rachel. It's contract, it's full time, it's part time, it's whatever you want. This year, I've been doing more contract roles, because I just want the flexibility. Because I also want to learn about the company. I also want to work on a bunch of different projects. So that's why I've been doing contracts. So it just kind of depends on what you want. All right, Lauren's like, more questions. I mean, I see like four, so I can keep going. Benji, how often do your designs get shot down? All the time. Or vice versa. Yeah, I will say as a designer, you do have to be very resilient. Your designs, yeah, you get shot down a lot. Just don't take it personally. And from the feedback that you get, just make the iteration, make the change, and like learn from it. And as you learn through your designs getting shot down, you actually get better in terms of like your instincts on applying best practices and best standards. Also, having your own design library. So, collecting a lot of examples, always learning all the time. That's another great part about this course is it teaches you how to learn, because as a UX designer, you have to learn all the time. Like I'm learning right now. My job is fintech, and I'm learning all about financial services right now. So it's like you just have to be good about learning, and kind of basically correcting yourself, learning how to apply what you've learned. And then you get better to the point where maybe your designs don't get shot down, but maybe you come up with like a bunch of different ideas and then maybe one of them gets picked, but it's always going to be iterated. Your designs are never final, it's always going to keep changing, and that's the nature of technology. Also, I will say if your designs get shot down, like don't feel bad about yourself. Doesn't mean you're a bad designer. And also, designers are a lot nicer now. I would say, like, you kind of it's not so like harsh. You guys have it pretty easy, I will say. A lot of the quirks of being a designer has been worked out over the last 10, 20 years. All right, Lauren, is there a good work-life balance with a career in UX? So I would say now there is a really good work-life balance. It also depends on what company you want to work for. So I will say a lot of product in-house teams have really good work-life balance. But I will say agency side, agencies don't really have great work-life balance because they're more focused on landing a lot of clients, a lot of projects versus in-house client side. It's just one client and you're focusing on that one product. So it kind of depends on, sorry, I heard a noise. So it kind of, all right, sorry. So it kind of depends on like your needs and what you want in terms of a company. And then also what I will say is if you start working somewhere and you feel like, hey, there's not good work-life balance, try to work it out, but also like you don't have to stay. I will say definitely prioritize your health, your mental health, your physical health, so that you can be a designer for long term. If you're working somewhere that is burning you out, honestly, my advice is to just leave because your health is way more important than work itself. That's something I wish I knew when I was a designer. My first 10 years, I actually burned myself out pretty bad because I didn't take care of myself. And now I do have health problems that I have to deal with every day because I didn't take care of myself. So, not really to scare you, but just to kind of be aware of take care of yourself. It's design. Like, it's okay. It's not, you're not saving lives. It's not like you're a doctor. Not saying that the job is not important, but you're more important. So, definitely take care of yourself. All right, David, is there a recommended setup for doing this type of work? Is it all doable on a laptop? Yes, so you can do this work on a laptop. I've also heard of some students doing it on a tablet, but definitely a laptop is good. Like my computer is a 13-inch, so I do everything on here. It hates me sometimes. All right, Natalia, how much creativity do we need to be a designer versus technical mindset? That's a really good question. I would say it's a balance of both. I would say you would need more creativity as a designer because usually you're working with engineers or developers, so they already had that technical mindset. Um, I would say 70% creativity and then 30% technical mindset. If you have more technical mindset, it's great. But the creativity part is what you bring as a designer. And then you just work with developers in terms of building out like the components and the designs itself. So then having that technical mindset is great because then you can communicate with your engineers and actually nerd out on code. But that's not like a requirement. Yeah, sorry. I keep talking. I'll stop talking in a moment. It's just some good questions. Yes, Tyrone. Do you have imposter syndrome? I have it right now as I'm talking. As I'm instructing. I have instructor imposter syndrome. I have it all the time. Um, did you have imposter syndrome before you started in the field? Yeah, I noticed that my imposter syndrome is a lack of believing in myself and believing in my abilities. And it's a lack of seeing the value in myself. So I constantly have this underlying anxiety that what I'm doing isn't good enough. And then I'm worried that I'll get fired or I lose my job. But what's cool is that how I've worked with my imposter syndrome is I just put all my focus on my work and on the output of my work. And then I actually surprise myself, and others are like, wow, this is really good. So then that kind of helps me. It's like I'm constantly trying to prove to myself that I'm a good designer, but um, that's kind of like a personal thing. But when it comes up, just acknowledge it, but just keep working through it. It does get better, but I still struggle. I've got good days and bad days. I'm human. We're human. Don't give up though. Don't let it like take over. your life. Like, don't be afraid of being a designer or taking risks. All right, Natalia, how common is it to find a UX researcher job? It's very common. Is it rare compared to the no? So there are a ton of UX research jobs. Research jobs have actually blown up, in my opinion. There's like a ton. There's also strategy roles. That's a lot of fun. A lot of UX roles, a lot of product, a lot of interaction. So there's a lot of whatever niche you want to go into, there's a lot of jobs doing that. I will say it is difficult to get into a UX researcher job um, because it does require a lot of practice and actually showing that you've done the work. But what's cool about UX research is like you can actually do it yourself rogue because you can just basically run your own tests and then have that in your portfolio. Oh, cool. You're welcome. I hope you guys are enjoying all of yeah, that's what you get with me. Um, I've been a designer for a long time, so honestly, I have a lot of wisdom and I'm happy to share it. Um, and I don't have a filter. I'm sorry. That's because I worked in office culture for so long, so I actually filtered myself for 20 years that now I can't. The filter has been demolished, so I apologize if I said some things that I shouldn't have said, but you know, sometimes we just gotta roll with it. um, yeah, you just have to learn when and not. Usually that's why I'm so quiet sometimes, is because I'm like, oh, it's gonna just come out. All right, so Alejandro has one more question. In your experience, have you found yourself doing more research or designing in your work? Okay. Also, I heard stakeholders constantly want designs to be changed. Yeah, they do. Are there team meetings to address these kinds of feedback? Oh man, that's so sorry, I'm just laughing. So it depends on where you work. I would say the places where I've done research has been more in-house client side. So if I'm working on a specific product, like for example, I worked at Mailchimp, so there was a ton of research, and the research was incredible. The research team was amazing. So I was doing research, but in terms of partnering with my research lead, but I was responsible for designing. So depending on where you go, you are still responsible for designing. If you want to do more research, then you need to get like a UX research role or like a usability testing specialist, a usability researcher. Like there's a bunch of different um, jobs related to research if that's what you want to do. But also as a designer, if you go into a company and you're like, hey, I want to do more strategy work or more research work, they'll probably let you partner doing that. So yes, stakeholders are they're a unique breed of being. I kind of think of them as like I was gonna call them unicorns, but they're like, they're just like their own, like, yeah, they're magical creatures. They're incredible. They're really smart. Actually, that's my favorite part about stakeholders. Like, you can learn so much from them. They've had so much experience and wisdom. A lot of them are executives, and it's just hearing them talk about their business and the business side is like it's actually really inspiring and incredible, but also I acknowledge like I don't have that. Like I'm not like them. But yes, it's also very difficult because they are geniuses essentially. And so sometimes they might not know design or they don't understand design, or there's a huge gap between them and users. And that's where you come in to say, like, hey, like that's kind of going back to Natalia's question earlier, I believe, of like how much creativity you need to have. But having that creativity to like inspire your stakeholders, like kind of show them other ways of thinking, and then kind of riffing off of each other. But yes, your designs change all the time. They come out of left field. You might be working on something and all of a sudden they're like, nope, I don't want this, like completely redo it, which is cool and not cool when it happens. So during the meeting, you're just like, cool, great, okay. And then after the meeting or a Slack channel, everybody internally in your team, you do have a debrief, you are talking about it. there is a lot of venting. But then after the venting, it's like, okay, cool, we're just gonna get the work done, and see how to like kind of address it. So you do have a lot of support when it comes to stakeholders, especially on the internal side. So it's definitely knowing when to talk about like issues or things that come up with stakeholders, but it's also to kind of help you learn how to navigate the situation and how to work with them in the best way possible. Um, but it's nothing to be afraid of. It's actually kind of comical to me now, and I'm not surprised. So, as you design for a long period of time, there's really, once you hear all the feedback, like there's only so much feedback you can hear. And then once you hear all the feedback, then it's just kind of like you just laugh it off. That's my trauma response is I just laugh. So that helps me out. All right, Robert, do you have any recommendations? Oh, working on iOS or Microsoft? You know what, Robert? I want to call this out. I I didn't have my laptop with me. I was somewhere and I borrowed my sister's laptop and she had a Microsoft. Oh, what did she have? Um, she had a Microsoft computer. It was a Microsoft laptop. I have to find out what it is, but it was amazing. I freaking loved it. It was so intuitive. And I was just like, why are designers hating on Microsoft? Like, I actually preferred her machine over Apple. I can't believe I'm saying that, but like, it was such an awesome, it was like a, I have to, I think it was a Microsoft like notebook. I think that's what they're called. But I actually told her, I was like, I want to buy this. And she was like, what? She's like, don't you want an Apple? And I'm like, no, I think I want your Microsoft laptop because it's cheaper and it's like so nice. And they update it all the time. And you also have like a touch screen. Um, Anyway, I'm going on I have a soapbox tantrum right now. So, honestly, Microsoft has some really great laptops. They're also more affordable. I'm biased because like I love Apple so much. I love their machines only because they last a really long time. I'm not even going to say how old this computer is, but this is an older machine, and I'm so grateful it's still running. But iOS machines are expensive. But what I did find is that there's a lot of really nice refurbished Apple machines, but if you're going to buy refurbished, I recommend buying them directly from apple.com. They do have a refurbished section in their store. Do not buy an Apple machine off of Amazon. Just don't, just be careful. Just don't buy machines. Just watch out with electronics and Amazon, is all I have to say. Just buy it directly from Microsoft or Apple. But either way, Robert, whatever you can afford, um, fully supported. They do have refurbished machines for I think around $800, but that's a lot. I will say use what you have because when you work in-house with a company, they provide you machines. So that's another reason why I haven't bought another new machine because all of my companies have given me the machines I wanted, so I haven't really needed to buy one. Cool. All right, so I'm going to close this up. Yes, internship is remote. Oh gosh, Benji. I would say as a designer, Mac is the best, just because of the graphics card. And then you M1, M2 chip. I don't remember the specific right now. Um, Machines are great. The graphics are really nice with Mac, but they're very expensive. And also a company will provide it to you. So I would say maybe now as a student, I would get a PC. I gotta find out that name of that laptop. My sister's laptop that I used, because that was an awesome machine, and I know it was cheap and it was great. So as a student, I recommend a PC, but it is best to learn on a Mac. All right, Alejandro, I've seen memes about the designers dealing with stakeholders. Yeah, do you remember Oatmeal? Is that still out? Is it Oatmeal? It's like Oatmeal Comics. That would crack me up. There's also a Tumblr on like stakeholder. This was like back in the day. But after I would have to read that because it helps me. I wish there was a design reality show of stakeholders because it's just ridiculous. but they're amazing, you know, can't, it's just, I'm telling you, they're just unique creatures. Oh, Robert, find out and let me know. I'm ready to jump ship on Apple. Oh, Robert, really? You might just have to go refurb, Robert. I am biased though. I'm forever Apple. I'm dreaming of my next machines and I can't wait. It's just so lovely. I will say I like Apple's displays that I haven't found. I know LG has a really nice display, but I'm sorry. I haven't found a good display. Yeah. Apple's design, just their style is so beautiful. But I'm super biased. I used to work there, so I can't you can't listen to me. It's just, and also they're really great. I will say the designers that work at Apple, like they're really cool. They're really cool people. They're good people. They're very relatable, very down to earth. But it is Apple, so all right, I'm gonna get to it. I was talking a lot. I'm sorry. These were good questions. I prefer to answer questions and hang out and talk, but we do have an exercise. We do have a Figma activity, so I think you can. Okay, cool. I'm gonna share my screen. Doop. All right, the only thing though is that I cannot see your questions. So let's do this. I am just gonna minimize that so I can see both. All right, so we have a FigJam. This is FigJam. I just realized you're like, what am I looking at? This is FigJam. FigJam is awesome. Yes, every time I say FigJam, I want jam. I want biscuits and jam. So it's kind of not cool. I kind of wish they created their own jam because I would totally buy Figma FigJam. Um, Clearly, I'm a little hungry. So this is FigJam. It's basically Figma's collaboration, kind of like Miro tool. But what's awesome is you have post-it notes. You can do different things on here. So you'll be using FigJam a lot. But now we're going to be doing a quick problem-solving brainstorm. And this will lead really nicely into your lesson 2 for next week. So what we're going to do is we're going to think of just everyday problems, but our topic is related to social media and how it influences mental health. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with some everyday problems related to social media and mental health. And then we're going to choose a problem that we like, and then we're going to create how might we statements. So a how might we statement is all about helping you ideate on different solutions for solving these everyday problems related to social media and how it affects mental health. Oh, it's difficult to read. Well, is that better? Trying to zoom as much as possible. So for example, again, our topic is social media and how it influences mental health. So an example problem is spending too much time on social media that leads to stress. So think about your problems with social media and maybe how it has affected your mental health, and we can type it in these little post-its. And let me know if you can see it now. I did zoom in quite a bit. Yeah, sorry, Lisa. It's because I'm on a 13-inch. I have to fit everything into a small little frame. I got you. So you can type your answers in the chat, and then I'm going to copy and paste it. And then we're going to write how might we statements. Okay, so Alejandro, it affects your attention span. So Social media affects my attention span. I'm also going to say focus. I'm going to add on. I hope that's okay. Let's say and focus. Cool. Social media leads affects human socializations. Oh, so how we interact with each other? Overstimulation. That was a big one. Put that in here. Oh, take your name out because I don't think you want your name in there. Actually, I have to, sorry, I'm gonna get my mouse happening. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit. Maybe that might be too much. I'll zoom back in a second. Overstimulation. Stimulation, not stimulation, sorry. Social media leads, yeah, seriously. So social media leads to self-doubt. Social media leads to self-doubt. Can make people narcissistic. Yeah, I've noticed that even in myself. I'm not really a narcissistic person, but when I watch YouTube shorts, I'm all like, narcissistic. Yep. Long screen time ever. Yeah, it definitely does. That's a good call out, Robert. Oh, oh, it's because we did that. Right. Misinformation spreads faster. Yep. It's a good one. Misinformation spreads faster. Hard to tell what's real and not real. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, is this real? I want to go on a quick rant on YouTube because I've been getting into shorts a lot. It's only because I like watching cooking videos or like learning about different meals. I just love food. But there's one person that has a story on shorts, and I'm like, is this a real story or is she just making this up? Because she's making it sound like it's real, but I'm not buying it. Right, social media can misinterpret communication and human emotions. Yes, Natalia, sorry. Natalia, okay. I'm sure next class you'll be like, you said my name wrong. All right, so there we go. We're like, Natalia's gonna be, I feel like she's gonna be a hard cookie. That is cool. I'll turn you into a hard cookie into oatmeal raisin. All right. Misrepresentation of reality. Yes. These are good. Oh, now I want cookies. That's the sad part about like if this was an actual class, like if I got to see you in person, I would totally I'm that teacher that would bring all the treats. Because when you're designing, you need food. That's the one thing. As a designer, you eat a lot of food. So learn how to cook, eat healthy, make your own snacks. You gotta have snacks, you gotta have tea. Because once you design, get your brain going, you are hungry. All right, instant gratification. All right, so I'm gonna call it quit soon because we do have to pick which one we want to go with. So instant gratification can lead to lack of patience. Ooh, these are deep. We're getting deep here. All right, can affect people's view on relationships and friendships. I'm actually gonna put this all together. Spend too much time caring about other people's lives rather than your own. Yeah, that's true. That's actually really true. I've been following a lot of families on YouTube, and actually, I have this weird thing, like, if I don't see their kids, I'm sad. It's, like, not cool. I'm like, "Hey, I haven't seen this person's kid in a while. What are they up to?" There we go, affects self-worth. Oh, wow. Alright, so I'm gonna stop it at affects self-worth. These are great. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick one out of all these problems, and we're gonna write a how might we statement. And basically a how might we statement. It's just it starts with how might we, but it's a broad phrase, so we can start ideating what a potential solution could be. Um, I think the best way is we could also probably um, put some of these together because they are kind of related. So which one should we go with? So we've got spending too much. Oh, that's what we. Okay, so social media affects my attention and span and focus. Actually, I'm going to group some of these because this is. Uh, some of these are related. There's affects self-worth. There's also time mismanagement, misrepresentation of reality, instant gratification. I think that could be kind of a bucket. Self-doubt and self-worth together, yeah, definitely. Actually, I feel it can affect people. Oh, you know what? I should have kept that separate because I feel like the instant gratification and narcissism is kind of related. That narcissism one is pretty good. Emotion with narcissism. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yeah, that's a good one. Leads to procrastination. So I feel like that's a lack of focus and attention. All right, so which one should we go with? Oh, you can see that goes down here. Also, the overstimulation. No, I don't know why I keep wanting to say stimulation. I keep making up this word. Overstimulation. I think I lost my train of thought. Okay. Here we go. Oh, cool. I'm glad you like it, Layla. Oh, good, Natalia. All right, so prolonged screen time. Which one is like, let's go for something deep that we can solve for. So which one do you feel? You can kind of tell me in the chat. We can do self-doubt and self-worth. I think also the misinterpretation, like misrepresentation of reality. A lot of these we could kind of put together. We just need to pick one so we can write a how might we statement. Alejandro, you're really funny. It's okay, I'm biased all the time. At least you know. Oh yeah, poor body image. Layla, I see patterns with feelings, emotions. Yep, narcissist, mental capacity, attention span, stimulation. You just said all of them, Layla. Social and connections. Let's do that then. All right, let's do the narcissism. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that. So I'm actually gonna copy what Layla said because she like summarized it for me. Thanks, girl. All right. Um, okay, so All right, let me see how I can write this. So narcissism. Okay, so we're gonna go with hmm, an easy way to say this. So it's emotions, narcissism. That word. Clearly I don't use a lot. Um, I think it should be a combination of narcissism and misrepresentation. So let's do that. Yeah, let's do misrepresentation of reality leading to narcissism. I kind of just paraphrased. Narcissism. Okay, cool. All right, so now I'm gonna zoom in because Lisa's probably like, I can't see. Okay, why are you doing this to my eyes? All right, so the problem we're going forward with is social media uh, basically creates a misrepresentation of reality that leads to narcissism. So let me actually get that. Social media creates a misrepresentation of reality that leads to narcissism, being narcissistic, that leads to narcissism. I'll just leave it like that. All right, so I'm actually going to move this over here so we have more space. So this is our problem. And now we're going to create a how might we statement. So a how might we statement actually helps us with our problem statement, which is kind of what we have here. Cool. So the way that a how might we works is that we want to start off by saying how might we. So I'll give a quick example and then you can write your how might we statements, or you can start writing your how might we statements and I'll add it in here. So how might we enable users to be more connected with their reality and less narcissistic? I just made that up. That's kind of the point. Narcissists. Oh boy. That's not, yeah, thank you. That's, I think I have too many. That word. Clearly I don't use it a lot. All right. Oh, thanks. All right, so that's an example of a how might we statement, but the whole point of the how might we statement is to keep it broad because this is going to help you ideate on different solutions, ideas that you can build upon throughout the process. So it's important to keep it more broad and not too focused. So does anybody want to give it a shot? Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see. Oh, let's not cut that off. How might we prevent users to distort reality? There you go. Cool. So how might we prevent users to distort reality? How might we, oh, how might, oh, sorry. How might we fact check information so they don't get misled? There we go. How might we help users fact check information so they don't get, okay, there we go. I think I got it. That's a good one. All right. Yeah, that's a really nice one. How might we help users fact check information so they don't get misled? All right. How are a little difficult if you haven't done them before. Let's see. Kind of thinking about this narcissistic one is interesting. Um, I don't even know how you break narcissism. I'm trying to think of like what the balance to being a narcissist is, and I keep thinking like humility or um like being of service to others. Yeah, that one is really tricky. I feel like it's a focus of like focused on yourself versus like focused on others. Also like having a servicial attitude. Yeah, start caring for others. So maybe it's like, how might we enable social media as a way to start caring for others? Um, I don't know if that's a good way to write it. Maybe someone else. Yeah, have more empathy. It's not all about you. Sorry. Um, yeah, how might, oh, here we go. We could do, how might we prevent users from misrepresenting themselves on social media platforms? Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so we are running out of time a little bit. So I don't want to keep us over because I will do that next week when I'm teaching lessons. Yay! Mo knows. So anyway, this was our practice for this evening. This is how we went about creating a problem statement. So again, we looked at everyday problems related to social media and how it influenced mental health. We came up with some really awesome problems. We then grouped them and then we picked one and then we wrote our how might we statements. And then we have another one from Robert. How might we use social media to promote community and connectivity? That's such a good one. There we go. We got the narcissism solved. Maybe. We're going to cure the world of narcissism. That's going to be one of my lifelong dreams. Success. Yeah, that would be super amazing. I believe it can happen. I think Gen Z Gen Z has it so good. And then what's after Gen Z? I think it's Gen X. I can't remember. I think it's Gen X. I'm I'm counting on them. All right, so it's Gen no. Is it really Gen Y? Gen Alpha? Isn't it Gen Alpha? Is it Gen Alpha? Okay, I guess it's Alpha. Thank you. How might we encourage users from indulging into self-adoration? You just reworded narcissism. Alejandro, that's pretty awesome. All right, well, anyway, that is, yeah, XYZ, yeah, you're right. XYZ definitely already happened. We're over that. All right, so this was our exercise for today. This was just kind of a taste of what we'll do in class. A lot of demos like this, a lot of talking through, me teaching you lessons or your instructors teaching you lessons, and then we have a demo or a practice of some sort in class. So that's kind of what to expect moving forward. I hope you enjoyed our lesson today. I'm actually going to get to where I was at. So, yeah, that's the end of our lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you next week. I'm so excited for those of you who have joined our class. Can't wait to see you. Thank you, Natalia. I appreciate it. Yay. Welcome, Batch 3. That's going to be awesome. Cool. Well, it's your first start. Oh, I probably should be sharing my I have more slides in here. Um, there's like a welcome slide that I do like. I want to put it up. Can't forget the welcome slide. Oh, right. Okay, sorry. Almost done. So next lesson, we are going to be reviewing product development, how it relates to design thinking. We're going to learn about our role as a UX designer. We're gonna understand the difference between UX and UI, and then we're gonna kind of continue what we did today. We're gonna write our problem statement. So we're gonna practice that. All right, let's begin your new career as a UX UI designer. Have a good night. Again, if you have any questions, want to join, please email your advisors at careerist.com. Have a good weekend, get some rest, frolic in the sun, hug a puppy. If you don't have a puppy or a cat, hug a tree. No, you do not have homework yet. That's cruel, Parvina. We wouldn't do that. It's your first lesson. Why would you have homework? You will have homework next week, though. Good night. Okay, bye.